Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Rabbi Isai, we're holding the Samach Vezim Beis, all the way in the bottom, 2 lines from the bottom. An amazing Gishmak Adaf. Easy, simple, Gevaldik. Tanan Hasam. HaKevesh v'hamizbeach shishim v'shtayim. We know that the Mizbeach was 32 Amma. We know that the Kevesh was 32 Amma. 32 plus 32 equals 64. Yet the Gemara says that the total was 62. And this is something that we had a number of times. And the answer says the Gemara, Hanishitim Arba'abu. How do you say 62? It's 64. Nimtza Pereach Amo al Yisoid v'Amo al Soiv. It must be, says the Gemara, like we've seen this a few times. It's done in glass just to show you how it looks, that this wall that the kevish is on, the kevish overlapped the base, which is an amma, and the ledge, the soiva, which is an amma. So therefore, even though they are both 32 amma, but we take off 2 amma. In fact, on that wall, there's no ledge and base, but as if it was. Zog the Heilige Gemara. Omar, top of Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. Omar, Rabbi Bar Choma, Kol Kivshei, Kivoshim, Shalish Amas, La'amo. All the ramps in the Beis HaMikdash were the rise. The rise. I think that's what it's called. In other words, the ramp has, you walk up the ramp. If you walk 3 amma up the ramp, you will be rising 1 amma. For every 3 amma distance on the ramp, you went up 1 amma. Every kevesh, meaning you know that the Mizbeach had a main ramp, and then there's the ramp to the right of it and the left of it. But Rashi says there's even more ramps that we're not even familiar about. The kevesh, its rise was different. As you can see over here, it, for every 3.5 amma plus a thumb and a third, every 3.5 amma, a thumb and a third, it would go up 1 amma. 3.5 ammas, ve'etzba, ushlish etzba, bezachrusa, a thumb. So it's 1 thumb and a third of a thumb plus 3.5 amma. Says the Heilige Mishnah, brand new Inyan. Minachais hayunik matzos b'chol makom ba'azara. When you take the mincha, the kohen goes in. I'm not going to show it again. I just showed it yesterday, the day before. The kohen goes into the bowl of flour and takes 3 fingers worth. And this is what he's makriv on the mizbeach. A mincha is kachi kachim, as the Gemara is going to explain. I would have a havamina. They're just like kachi kachim ma'oila. Where do you do the shechita? Only in the north of the Beis HaMikdash. What do you do for the chatos? Only in the north. So mincha also only in the north. Says the Mishnah, no. B'chol makom azar, anywhere in the azar. V'ne'achol is lefnim min hakloim. And you could eat a mincha anywhere inside the Azara, but only in the Azara. There is a connection, by the way, between the carbon mincha and mincha that we daven every day. Taisves in Pesachim Daf Kuf Zayin says that the reason why we call the carbon mincha, or why the tefillah of mincha is called tefillas mincha, because it's davened, you pray, you daven it at the time of the hakravas mincha, when you bring the mincha on the Beis HaMikdash. The Zichar Gehuna, only a male kohen could eat a mincha. B'chol ma'achol, you can make it any kind of dish you want, besides, of course, chometz. L'yoim v'layla, for the day and the day that you do the kmitza, that the remainder of that day, and that night up until chatzos, ad chatzos. So now we have a question. We're going to see there are two things that the Gemara talks about, mincha and shlamim. Both are okay to do inside the heichal. You're not supposed to do a mincha, you're not supposed to do the kmitza inside the heichal. You're supposed to do it outside of the Azar. But if you ran into the heichal, which has more gedusha to it, it's okay. Shekain matzinu b'siluk b'zichin. So this is the shulchan. Yeah. And you have those 2 spoons of frankincense of Levina. You take those bezichin with the frankincense inside of them, and they're situated where? In the heichal. You take them out of the heichal, you put them on the mizbeach. That's the matter. That allows you, or allows the kohanim to eat the lechem upon. So just like the bezichin, they come from the heichal and they go outside, so too the mincha comes from the heichal, you bring it outside. You don't have to, obviously. It's better if you don't. But if you do, it's okay. Mazar Yirmiyah, the comments misham. So pay attention. We have the 2 words v'komatz misham. That the Torah is telling us that where do you perform this kmitza? Where the owner, the Yisrael, most of the time comes to the Beis Hamikdash and brings his flour. That's the point that you're supposed to do the kmitza, and not in the heichal. That's what the Gemara understands. Now, if I tell you, I'm just explaining I'm explaining to you what's going to happen in the next 10 lines. If those words, the comments misham, don't come to tell you that the kohen has to stand over there next to the Yisrael everywhere, but it's coming to tell you something else. For instance, it's coming to tell you that you're allowed to perform the kmitza anywhere in the Azara, then I don't have a problem. The problem is if it's coming to tell me that you have to do it where the kohen is, meaning, and not in the heichal. I'm trying to ask a question on this halacha that you're permitted to do a kmitza in the heichal. Says Gemara, so let's see inside. The comments the kohen should go over to where the Yisrael is standing. That is the question. How did you tell me that you perform the kmitza also inside the heichal? Over it says it has to be dafka where the Yisrael is standing. Now we're just going to do ben b'seira. He learned something completely different, and there's not a question according to Ben B'seira. So that's what the Gemara is going to say, that even according to the Tanakama, it's not going to be a question. Why is it not a question according to Ben B'seira? Because he says, the Comments B'Sham says, what if the Kohen performed the Kmitza with his left hand, he should do it with his right hand. You're allowed to redo the mincha with your right hand. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yirmiyah, who asked the question, also answered the question. That's how some people learn it. No, somebody else answered the question. Rabbi Yaakov said, Rabbi Yirmiyah, he answered the question about Tachlifa. I'll explain to you. The Chometz Misham is not coming to exclude the Heichal, but rather to say that you're allowed to perform the Kmitza in the entire Azara, and therefore the Heichal is permitted. We just have to hold cup here. When we're saying that we're starting off that the Heichal is permitted. We ask the question, Chometz Misham tells me that it's not permitted. The answer is no, but Chometz Misham is coming to see something else, and Memela goes back to say that the Heichal is permitted. So I would say you can't perform the Kmitza in the entire Azara. Why? We can learn from an Ayla. We should compare a mincha to Ayla. Just like a Ayla is kachi kachim, mincha kachi kachim, so is a mincha. Ma Ayla tun tzafin. We know, and we learn many times, that a Ayla can only perform the Shechita and the Kabbalah in the north part of the Azara, and so too the Chatas, as we're going to see soon. Ayla, af mincha tun tzafin. I would only think that a Chadas requires tzafin. Komashmal on the pasuk becomes b'shav that you don't need tzafin. So the Gemara, no. Mala Oila shekin kala. I cannot learn mincha from Oila because the Oila is very special. The entire thing goes up to Hashem. Mimela, Oila is in the tzafin. A mincha does not have to be in the tzafin. So what's the Chometz Misham coming to tell me? That the kohen has to go to where the Yisrael is standing, and therefore heichal, no good. Says Gemara, no. Let me learn from Chatos. And if I learn from Chatos, heichal is good. Why? Because the pasuk when it comes to Misham is going to say it's not like a chatas that have to be in the Safan. It could be anywhere. So the pasuk is coming. Exclude that. And Memela Heichal is good. Well, I have a problem. I don't need a pasuk to counteract the chatas because the chatas comes for something special. It could also forgive a sin of kares. Memela, I don't need a pasuk for that. So what is the pasuk coming to tell me? That Heichal, no good. So the Gemara, no, I'll learn from Masham. And if I learn from Masham, Heichal, yes, good. Oh, I can't learn from Asham because Asham is a blood kind of avoida, and mincha is not. Memela, Heichal, no good. Yeah, you hit the cheshbon. Says Gemara, okay, mikulu. Let me learn from all of them. And if I learn from all of them, then Heichal is good. How do I learn from all of them? Because what am I going to say? Say, learn from Oila. No, Oila is not. Why is it you can't learn from Oila? Because Hulil Hashem. So learn from Chatos. Chatos is for Chaygir. So learn from Asham. But Asham has Damim. So learn from Oila. But learn from all three of them together. And Tachlis, all three of them are Kachi Kachi. And where do you perform that Avodah? Only in the north. So Mincha should also be performed only in the north. And that's why I need a pasuk to tell me that Mincha does not have to be performed in the north. And Memela what? I don't have a pasuk. So therefore, Heichal, yes. Gemara, Malikulu Shkemin Adam. I can't learn from all of them. Because they're all blood korbanos. And Memela, I don't need a pasuk to tell me that a Mincha is in the north. So the pasuk comes to tell me, Heichal, no. Not like the Mishnah says that Heichal, yes. Not the Gemara, not the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Elo itzur soket the chamina hoylo ksiv v'higisha al mizbeach. Let me show you what Hagasha is. Hagasha, you take the mincha and the kli and you touch the mizbeach on the southwest corner. So says the Gemara, hoylo ksiv v'higisha al mizbeach be'ermena b'kumtzai. It's this Hagasha and this Kmitza. Ma Hagasha b'keren ma'arav d'rayim is just like the Hagasha is in the southwest corner. Af Kmitza b'keren ma'arav d'rayim. So too, the Kmitza would have to be done in the southwest corner. Kamash from the pasuk to say that it doesn't have to be done there. It can be done anywhere. Memela, Heichal, yes. Says Gemara. That it could be done anywhere. Or Rabbi Yochanan. Now we're moving on to something else. If you took a carbon shlom and you shecht it inside the heichal, kosher. You shecht it where you could see the oil. Now the Gemara uses logic. If the idea is to shecht the shlomim in a position where you could view the door of the heichal, so what if you're inside the heichal? It's even better, no? Ask the Gemara, I hear your logic, but does this work with another halacha in a pasuk? What happens if the goyim are surrounding the azar? Says the Eli Rashi. They're surrounding them for war. And they're shooting arrows. This word sounds like ballistic to me. They're shooting missiles into the Azara. In fact, I don't know where the article got it, but I looked up in the article and he uses a lashon of missiles. Shooting missiles, I believe. Maybe it means projectiles. So I think I saw that word there. What does he do when missiles are coming? He goes in his Mekayim mitzvahs. You hear the question? We need a pasuk to tell me that they can go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. V'amai, why do you need a pasuk? Name of Chazarah el Yochluah. V'lei tav chomer min ha'ikar. Ask the Gemara, according to your logic, if it says you should eat the kachim. in the Chazarah, certainly in the Heichal. Let's use the same logic we said before. If the Shalom has to be shechted in front of the door of the Heichal, so certainly inside the door. So same thing with the kachim. Why do you need a special pasuk to tell me that you're allowed to eat the kachim in the Heichal? So the Gemara tell you why. Let me say about peh and don't see it inside. There's a big difference, says the Gemara, between shechting a carbon that you're doing an avodah, you're doing work in front of your master, where you're eating a carbon, and eating is not proper. How many times have we had a situation in front of your yeshiva and you don't eat? You don't stuff your face in front of your Rebbe. So says the Gemara, when you're shechting the shlamim, you're performing an avodah. You could do work in front of your Rebbe. I'm reading so there we could use the logic. If you do it in the doorway of the heichal, you can do it inside the heichal also. That's by the shechita of the shlamim. Achila, but when you're saying that you're running away from missiles, that you're allowed to eat inside the heichal, that's a bigger chiddush. They know the meichel b'magim rabbi, because it's not proper to eat in front of your Rebbe. So you don't eat in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because the heichal has more kedusha than the azar. That you're closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So therefore, I think you shouldn't be able to eat inside the heichal. I would think that you don't say this svara, and that's why you don't say this svara. That's why you need the pasuk. Says the Heilige Mishnah, brand new sugya, brand new masechta. Chatas ha'oif. We discussed the chatas ha'oif. What is the chatas ha'oif? So let's say somebody did one of these averos it says in the Torah in Perek K, pasuk Aleph, Beis Gimel Dalet. V'nefesh kisech l'shem kol olav u'eid. If you know testimony, you don't testify. Your nefesh kisech l'shem kol tuma. Or if you swear falsely, so you're supposed to bring a chatos. And what if you can't afford it? So you bring something called a carbon oilav. Instead of bringing a chatos, instead of bringing a lamb, you bring a bird. If you don't have money for a bird, you bring flour. So the chatos bird. Hoisanasis al keren, all the avodas. What are the avodas of the bird? So we know all of them. Milika. First, you have to. It's not a shechita; it's a malika. It's killing the bird with your thumb. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow. Then you take the bird and you swing it towards the mizbeach. That's called hazah. The blood goes flying to the mizbeach. And then finally, take the bird and you do mitzui. Mitzui looks something like this. You squeeze it onto the wall of the mizbeach. What wall? Where do you do the malika? Where do you do all of it? On the southwest corner. Let me just show you southwest corner. Beautiful flyby. You see the kiyar over there. And here are the two holes that you do the shirayim. The side. Okay, that's southwest corner. You could do the malika and everything anywhere on the mizbeach. But this was its place. So Gemara is going to discuss if it's the place. So what do you mean you can do it everywhere? You can't do it everywhere. Okay. Or you could do it everywhere. So why does it say says the Mishnah you know, there's the red line on the Mizbeach. So there's three things that were done on the bottom, below the red line. Here. Three things below the red line. And three things above the red line. Shloishim milamata. Milamata, what do you do below the red line? Chatas ha'if, we just discussed the bird chatas. V'hagoshos, and we discussed a minute ago, that's hagasha. That's all done where? You see the two holes in the bottom right over there? That tells me that's on the southwest corner. V'shiyore adam, and of course, we pour the leftover blood that we saw many times, but I know you want to see it again, so we'll show it again. Givaldik. All that is done on the bottom, below the red line. And what do you do on top? Nisu chayayin, givaldik. We have a nisu chayayin today. Pouring the wine on top of the mizbech. When do we do this? Anytime you bring a shlamim, and anytime you bring an oila. Ve'hamayim. When do we pour water into that kli next to it? on Sukkot. V'oilas ha'oif, and when you shecht or you do malika to the bird oila, not the previous mission was talking about a bird chatas. Now we're talking about a bird oila. Kshiraba b'mizrach. When the real place you're supposed to do it in Mizrach is overloaded. There's too much traffic over there. Now, the reason why we do it in the Mizrach, we're going to talk about it because part of the thing of the oila is, as we're going to discuss, you have to remove the feathers and the mura. I forgot what it's called in English. And you put it in the deshen. The deshen is that little hole where it absorbs in the ground. But if you go to the southwest corner, it's very hard to throw it. You have to be really good and really strong. The Gemara says one of the hardest things in Beis Hamikdash. Take something light. Let's say you want to take a tissue and throw a tissue. Take something small. It's very hard to throw at a distance. And over here, you have to throw it for over 60 feet if you're going to be on the southwest corner. So we try to stay away from there. But if there's too much traffic in the east, so then you go over to the southwest. When you go up the ramp, you go up on the right side of the ramp, and you make a right turn. What the Mishnah really means is they make a right turn. So check this out. Look how beautiful this is. You come up the ramp. Let me just tell you real quickly. You're coming up the ramp. And what you're trying to do is, let me just show you the area right over here. You see those two holes on top? I don't know if this is going to work. Right over here. This is where you perform the avodah. So just imagine, he's going to stop over here for 5 minutes, but then he's going to continue. So let's see how it looks. Rabbi said, here we go. He goes up the ramp, makes a right turn, and he's making right turns the whole time. We discussed this. Oh, he stops there, but how does he go down? Right down. On the left side of the ramp, boom. He does not retrace his steps all the way back the way he came, because that will make him make left turns, says Taisus. We want him to make right turns. How does he make right turns? Because he's facing the mizbeach. He's hugging the mizbeach. And he's moving sideways. So every time he gets to the corner, he's actually making a right turn, not a left turn, because he's facing the mizbeach as he's doing this. So the three things that we discussed, that if he goes up for wine, and he goes up for the water, and he goes up for the oilas ha'if, which are done in the southwest corner. So take a look at it. The Gemara is going to explain why dafka these. So how does he do it? Let me see. First of all, he's not going to walk. He's going to walk like certain individuals that walk on the wrong side of the sidewalk. He's going to go up that way, do his avodah. When he's done his avodah, guess where he's going to go now? He's not going to go all the way around the mizbeach because that's going to be making left turns. So he's going to retrace his steps. Boom, all the way down. Givaldik. Says the Gemara, how do you know that Chadas Ha'if you're supposed to do on the... Did I say Chadas Ha'if? Yeah, Chadas Ha'if. How do you know Chadas Ha'if is on the southwest corner? Orishua, Omakro, it says by the Minchas Chayda, when somebody sins and he has to bring a Mincha, Lo Yosim Alei Hasheman, V'leitin Alei Levenu, we had in this Masechta, that because he's bringing for a sin, for a chet, for Naveira, don't beautify it. Don't put in any frankincense, don't put any oil, garnished. Ki chatosi. So what I learned from this, chatos kriya mincha, the same pasuk that's talking about a mincha calls it a chatos. Ki chatosi. So mincha is a chatos and a chatos is a mincha. In other words, we can learn one from the other a hekesh. Chatos kriya mincha, mincha kriya chatos. Ma chatos tunat sofen, af mincha tunat sofen. Just like a chatos requires the north, so the mincha also requires the north. Let me ask you a question. We just learned that a mincha doesn't need north. Mincha can be everywhere. Says Rashi, that's why this line is not a good line. It's meshubash. It's not good. Let's remove it. And let's insert another line, says Rashi, that has to do with Lishma. And he brings a Gemara from Menachos. If you don't know Lishma, okay, fine. But the point is, this is the point. Just like a mincha you perform in the southwest corner. How do I know that? The Gemara is going to tell us. You ask me, how do you know that a chatos is in the southwest? I learned from a mincha. And how do I know mincha? I'm going to see soon. What part of the chatos? Says Rashi. I don't know what the gear says. Anyways, he brings the Gemara Menachas, Daf Dalet. Says the Gemara, Umincha gufa minol. And how do I know the mincha requires the southwest corner? The Sanya Lefnei Hashem. We have a contradiction in the Psukim. It says, let's take a look at not the best picture in the world, but this works for me. Over here you have a compass. You have the north on top, south on the bottom, Safan on top, Darm on the bottom. Mizrach east on the right, Ma'ariv on the left, like we like it in America. North is up. On the left side on the Ma'ariv, you have the Ulam, the Heichal. It says Lifnei Hashem. You should do the mincha in front of Hashem. Where's Hashem most present? Kaviyachal in the Heichal. Even more so in the Kodesh HaKadosh. So Lifnei Hashem means that you should be in the west. Yachal b'Ma'ariv. So maybe you should do the avodah of the mincha in the west. Talmud lo yimar el pnei hamizbeach. No, it should be on the face of the mizbeach. Face of the mizbeach means, as we explained yesterday, it's the ramp going up. That's how you start off on the mizbeach. So that's south. So perhaps you should do the avodah of the mincha on the south, or perhaps on the west. So which one is it? You know what? Let's compromise. Let's do it on the southwest. That's the pshat. Should be in the south. Okay, so what do? We have a contradiction. You put it right on the corner of the southwest, and you get both. Yoitz on both. That's why it says, I would think that you could do it on the south, on the west, or on the south. Amris. Anytime you find two psukim, the two psukim can get along, so obviously you're going to go with those. But one is only good for himself, but doesn't get along with his friend. You take the one that is able to get along with the other one, and that's the one we use. If you're gonna be into your west, like over here, you're gonna do the avodah in the west. How are you gonna be mekayim the south? You can't do the south. However, but if you say do it in the south, then you could do both. How? How is that possible? Remember the sugya when we said that the entire mizbeach, according to one man the Omar, was in the north? In other words, there's a line in the Azara. Above the line is north, below the line is south. The entire mizbeach was in the north. So let me just show you. If you take the laser, so this is the line. This is the dividing line in the Azara. As you can see, the mizbeach is above the line, so the mizbeach is in the north. So what if he performed the avodah of the mincha right over here in the south? The south, past this red line is south. Then he has a direct line of vision into the heichal. So it's also, this area is also in the west of the mizbeach. So it's el pnei. It's el pnei ha'eichal pnei Hashem, because you can see directly in here, but it's in the south area right here, and you can be mekayim both. One small piece of Gemara here. I told you, I promise you, it's easy stuff, and it continues to be easy. So we said that you could do the malika of the chatos and the hazah and the mitzvah adam all anywhere on the mizbeach, but you know what? The place that you should do it is on the southwest corner. Says Gemara, Michael Omar. How do you make sense of that? Omar Rav Ashi, come on, this is what he meant to say. Over here, it doesn't matter. You can do malika above and below, on top and the bottom. But the bottom is where you have to do that. So, Tani la Torah Rabbanan, and we learned Malaka mechol makom b'mizbeach sheira. If you did malika anywhere in the mizbeach, it's kosher. He's a dama b'chol makom sheira. And if you did hazah sadam, you sprinkle the blood from the bird anywhere on the mizbeach, it's kosher. He's a v'lemitzok sheira. If you did hazah but you didn't squeeze, then it's kosher. It's not akev. But you have to be below the red line to apply blood. That's dam nefesh. That's the special blood that the neshama goes out with. My karma, what does it mean? If you did the malika on top and the bottom, anywhere on the mizbeach, is kosher. And if you squeeze the blood anywhere in the mizbeach, kosher, because you don't even need it. All you need is the hazah. It's not ma'akiv. As long as you put some of the blood, that's the nefesh blood, below the red line, then you are yoitza rabboisai. Have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.